I got a call that the raids had occurred, that individuals had been arrested and had been removed from the plant by bus and were presumably being transported to the detention facility in Aurora. It's scrambling to figure out where they were sending 260 people.
And there was chaos and confusion about where are the families and workers being shipped to. Are they going to the Aurora Detention Center here in Colorado? Are they going to Texas? Trying to get as much information about where they're being sent so that we can try and provide legal support.
Llegué a la central camionera de Ciudad Juárez y hablé con mi esposa. Le dije, ¿sabes qué? Le dije, ya estoy aquí ya en Juárez. Le dije, ya a 5 de la tarde sale el camión para Guanajuato y ya me voy a ir. Y sí, pasaron los días. Se llegó el día 24 de diciembre. Sí, yo hablaba con mi esposa, mis niños. Me decían, papi, ¿por qué te fuiste? ¿Por qué los dejaste solos? Les dije yo no me vine porque quise, hijo, o mi hija, la más grande. Me echaron. Todo por estar trabajando en un país que no es de uno, pero sabemos que este país, aunque no sea de uno, nos da para comer, para vivir mucho mejor que en el país de uno. Y luego empecé a hablar con los amigos, con las personas que nos habían echado todos para allá, que estábamos en el mismo trabajo. Y dijeron, vámonos otra vez. No, pues vámonos. Y sí, nos vinimos otra vez, caminamos 3 noches. Y a la tercera noche, ya cuando íbamos a llegar a la parte donde nos iban a levantar, nos dijo el guía que nos traía, dijo, falta poquito, dijo ya no. Yo entre el cerro donde veníamos, daba 3 pasos, me caía, ya no podía levantar los pies.
Now the groups in Greeley, such as Catholic Charities, such as Frente de Lucha and Latinos Unidos and many others, with very few resources and with very few capacity, stepped up and provided tremendous support to the families and to the workers. The UFCW, as a union, provided tremendous support to the workers.
Well, we do our ministry every Sunday, but I did not go and try and raise money for them, because if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do it for everybody that's legal too.
We got financial assistance to help these families from far as away as California and New York.
This is wrong that you are pulling in money to give to illegal families. They should, this is not right.
If they were coming in the front door, they would learn about our country, they would learn about the Constitution, they would learn about the Bill of Rights, they would learn, they would learn to speak English, they would learn, like many of our ancestors, that, gee, I want to become an American.
Those SWIFT employees who were arrested and detained in the Aurora facility, of those eligible for bond, 100% received bonds and were bonded out. At some point we were able to determine that 62 of those arrested were put on a flight to El Paso.
Eventually we filed an action in federal court under habeas corpus, and we want to know where these people are, we want to know who they are, and we want to be able to talk to them. We have a right to represent them, they have a right to talk to us, and the judge granted that.
We got everybody who was moved to El Paso. The judges there ultimately granted changes of venue so that those people could come back to Aurora and fight their cases in Colorado. Many of those arrested at the raid, the night of the raid, signed what's called stipulations to removal, where they basically waive all their rights to fight their case and say, just go ahead and deport me. And the government, we argued that they didn't really understand what they were saying, and the government agreed that it was inappropriate to keep those waivers and stipulations in place, and the clients were permitted to withdraw them and then pursue their case.
We spent over $200,000 on outside attorney fees to represent these people. Some of them did not have good cases to be able to stay here. Some of those people elected to voluntarily return from wherever they were from. Some of them decided to stay here and fight, but it was an abuse of the government power, clear abuse, and it doesn't matter whether you're white or whether you're yellow or red or black. It's offensive because that should not be happening.
We have laws in place, and we have always prided ourselves on being a nation that is based on the rule of law.
And what we have now is an unbelievable complex mess of laws that actually are second only to the tax law in their complexity and absurdity.
On the enforcement side, it's illegal for an employer under current law knowingly to hire an undocumented worker, but the key phrase is knowingly.
Why didn't they just get in line and come legally? The reason is, for most of them, there's no line to get into. There are no visas in the immigration system for low-skilled workers who are needed.
Now, if the laws were changed, I would uphold them, because that's what my job is, to uphold the law. There are laws on the books right now that I don't agree with at all, but I know I need to follow them unless I can get those laws changed.
Even illegal or undocumented workers have rights in the United States. They have rights under statutes, and they have rights under our Constitution. So often in raid settings, rights get lost in the shuffle. People don't have access to lawyers, they're scared, they often don't know their rights.
Consequently, a legal system which is complicated for most people with a high school degree to understand is extremely complicated for them to understand. What that creates is fear, and fear drives people into the underground.
Data are not perfect with respect to illegal immigration, just like they're not perfect with respect to any illegal activity. The surveyor goes around, hello, are you illegal? What is the answer to that? So the estimates range nationally from maybe 12 million to 20 million, depending on who's estimating.
80% of immigrant households are mixed status households. That means there's citizen children in them, there's legal permanent residents, there could be citizen adults.
100 million people will be added to the United States by 2030 to 2035, somewhere around 27 to 30 years from now. And it's going to create environmental chaos, it's going to create social chaos, it's going to create scarcity, energy crises.
The worst thing is to have our population decline, because that is not consistent with a growing economy.
Markets are very powerful things, and that's why economists like to talk about supply and demand. As we saw in America during Prohibition, there was still a demand for alcohol, even though some people didn't want people to drink. So similarly, there's a supply of labor and there's a demand for labor, and you can see the power of the market at work.
If they would really just go in and start arresting the employers of illegal aliens nationwide, you would see what is called attrition through enforcement.
You've got to go after the employer. But if an employer is using the rules given to it by the government, what is that employer supposed to do? We're using the E-Verify, or the basic pilot, the predecessor. We've been using this since 1997. Every employee came back from the federal database saying authorized to work. And quite frankly, the illegals getting employed, at least what we're experiencing, is very few of them are fraudulent documents. It's legal documents fraudulently obtained.
My son, my eldest son, lost his wallet in Denver. Last year he was notified that he was working in North Carolina. He's never been in North Carolina. That is a problem with the illegals. They don't care that they take somebody's ID to use it and ruin your credit, ruin your life. And that's what I resent. I don't need any help to ruin my credit, trust me.
Yo voy a luchar por mi familia. Le dije, señor juez, yo aquí estoy en este país con mi familia. Yo no estoy robando. No me agarraron robando, no me agarraron tomando, no me agarraron drogado. Le digo, me agarraron trabajando. Dijo, sí, dijo, pero estás robando identidad. Le digo, sí, le digo, pero es que yo hice esto porque yo quiero trabajar para mi familia. Yo no quiero que mi familia sufra, y también pues yo quiero tratar de yo sacarlos adelante, mi familia, sin pedirle ayuda al gobierno. Desgraciadamente llegué a este país indocumentado. Yo entré en el 99 a trabajar en SWIFT, y cuando yo entré en SWIFT yo tenía dos trabajos. Trabajaba en el FIG y en SWIFT para sacar toda la familia adelante. Entonces yo Cuando entré a SWIFT, yo duré 7 años ahí, o después de que pasó esto, que nos agarraron.